6 years. 6 years of birthdays, inside jokes, Sunday mornings, and planning a future together. So when she leaned across the candlelit table on our anniversary, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "I like you, but I'm not in love with you," I didn't know how to breathe. The restaurant went silent, or maybe it was just my ears ringing. People were laughing 2 tables over. A waiter dropped a spoon, but in front of me she didn't flinch. Her voice was flat, like she was reading a script she'd already practiced. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, the smirk, anything to let me off the hook, but her face didn't change. No tears, no regret, just that same calm tone as she added, "I haven't been in love with you for a while, to be honest. I just didn't know how to tell you." I thought I'd misheard her, that maybe this was a twisted joke, a test, a cruel slip, but no. Her fingers stayed wrapped around her wine glass like it was just any other Tuesday night, like she hadn't just torched 6 years of my life in a single breath. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to ask why now, but my mouth wouldn't work. All I could do was sit there, heart pounding, face burning, staring at the person I thought I knew. But the way she said it, calm, cold, almost rehearsed, that's when I realized she didn't just fall out of love with me. She had moved on. I just didn't know with who yet. We met during our sophomore year of college. She was the overachiever in the front row, always answering questions, always correcting the professor, and I was the guy who sat 3 seats back, sketching stupid doodles in the margins of my notebook, wondering how someone like her could ever notice someone like me. But she did. It started with coffee, turned into late-night study sessions, and before I knew it, we were inseparable. She made me feel like I mattered, like I was the calm to her chaos. I fell hard, maybe too hard. When she got into med school across the state, I didn't hesitate. I followed her, found 2 part-time jobs, gave up my own grad school plans, and picked up shifts wherever I could just to keep us afloat. She'd be up all night studying, and I'd be bringing her tea, rubbing her shoulders, whispering, "You've got this." She always did, but over time, things started to shift. She became obsessed with appearances. Everything had to look perfect. Instagram-worthy dates, expensive outfits, pretending we had it all figured out. I didn't mind at first. I thought she was just stressed. Then came the comments, subtle at first. "You're smart. Why are you still working at that place? You should be doing more with your potential. Don't you ever want to be someone?" I'd laugh it off, tell myself she was just trying to motivate me. But the truth is, she was slowly teaching me that I wasn't enough as I was. And I let her. Every time I started to feel the cracks, she'd reel me back in. A soft kiss, a late night, "I love you," a promise that once residency was over, everything would get better. So I kept giving, kept believing, kept choosing her over everything else. I thought we were building a life together. But now I see I was building a future, while she was already planning her exit. Looking back, the shift wasn't sudden. It was slow, strategic, almost like she wanted me to doubt myself before I ever doubted her. It started with little things you'd never think twice about if you were in love. She'd laugh a little too hard at her coworkers' texts, then flip her phone over when I walked into the room. She stopped asking me to join her at her friends' birthdays or dinner parties, saying things like, "You wouldn't know anyone anyway, it'd just be awkward for you." I told myself she was just trying to spare me discomfort. That's what love does, right? But then came the comparisons. Subtle jabs disguised as compliments. "Matt just got promoted again. Crazy how fast some people move up the ladder, right?" Or, "Lauren's fiancé is planning their trip to Greece. Can you imagine?" First, I nodded along. I figured maybe she was trying to drop hints about wanting more. But more of what? More money? More prestige? More someone else? Then came the comments about how I dressed, how I carried myself, how I talked. "Can you maybe wear something nicer when we go out? Just try a little?" I had always thought comfort over style was just my vibe, but she made me feel like I was embarrassing her just by being myself. One night, we were supposed to go to her colleague's engagement party. I showed up at the venue only to find out she'd arrived an hour earlier alone. When I asked her why she didn't wait, she shrugged and said, "Oh, I didn't think you were really into these things." She had stopped seeing me as a partner. I was now just excess, an optional +1. The gaslighting got worse. If I said something felt off, she'd accuse me of being too sensitive. If I got quiet, she'd say I was emotionally manipulative. Suddenly, I was always the problem, always not enough or too much, depending on the mood. The breaking point came quietly. I was charging her phone one morning while she was in the shower. A notification popped up, a message preview from someone saved as D. I wasn't the type to snoop, but something about the way her phone lit up made my chest tighten. I opened the thread. There were jokes, flirty ones, inside references I didn't recognize, mentions of places they'd been, restaurants she'd never mentioned, weekend plans that didn't include me. And then, the photo. It was her, sitting on someone's couch, wearing an oversized hoodie that definitely wasn't mine. Her hair was up, makeup off, the kind of comfort you don't show just anyone. The caption? With him again, blue heart. But it wasn't until I picked up her phone one morning and saw the photo that I realized this wasn't just emotional distance. This was betrayal, full blown. And it had a name. The photo haunted me. I didn't say anything at first. I needed to process, needed to be sure. For 3 days, I lived like a stranger in my own home, eating in silence, barely sleeping, pretending I didn't know what I knew. She didn't notice, or maybe she just didn't care. But on the 4th night, I couldn't hold it anymore. She was folding laundry when I asked, casually, "Who's D?" Her hands paused for half a second, just long enough to confirm what I already knew. Then, without missing a beat, she said, "Just a friend." "Why?" I told her I saw the texts, the photo, the caption. There was no meltdown, no tears, no "I can explain," just a quiet sigh, followed by the words I'll never forget. "Okay, so now you know." I just stared at her, waiting for the apology, the guilt, anything. But she met my eyes and said it like it was nothing. "I haven't loved you for a long time. I just didn't know how to leave. You were safe, but boring. Boring. 6 years of my life, of showing up, of sacrificing, of believing in her. And to her I was just boring." I asked her how long it had been going on. She shrugged. "Does it matter? It's not like we were really in love anymore. No remorse, no ownership, just deflection, like I had driven her to it." She said, "You let me fall out of love. You stopped challenging me. You stopped growing." As if loyalty was a flaw, as if stability was a sin. I wanted to scream, to ask her how many nights she lied to my face, how many anniversaries she pretended, how many promises were fake. But I didn't. Instead, I walked into our bedroom, pulled out my suitcase, and started packing. Quiet, focused, robotic. She followed me, half laughing, like I was being dramatic. "So that's it? You're just gonna leave?" Over some texts. I zipped the bag, looked her in the eye, and said, "No, I'm leaving because I finally see you for who you are." She didn't stop me, didn't beg, just stood there, arms crossed, like she was daring me to go through with it. I left the key on the counter. I didn't slam the door, didn't look back. I walked out that door, but I had no idea what she would try to do next, and how far she'd go to pull me back. The first few days after I left were quiet, too quiet. I half expected her to blow up my phone, show up at my door, beg me to come back. But there was nothing, just silence, until the DMs started rolling in. A couple of her friends, the ones who always acted a little too fake around me, messaged me privately. One wrote, "Hey, I just want to say I'm sorry. We knew something was off, but we didn't think it was our place to say anything." Another said, "She's been talking to that guy for months. We didn't know how serious it was until recently. You deserved better, man." I didn't respond. I didn't need their guilt, but I screenshotted everything. Not out of revenge, just to remind myself I wasn't crazy. My sister was furious. She'd always been protective of me, always had this sixth sense about people's true colors. She posted something on her Instagram story that night. A plain black background with white text. "Never beg someone to love you. Loyalty isn't boring." It blew up, got reshared dozens of times. Even people who didn't know our story knew the pain behind those words. Then, exactly 1 week later, she showed up at my job. Mascara smudged, hair messy like she hadn't slept. She walked straight into the lobby and said my name like it was supposed to mean something. I made a mistake. She actually had the nerve to cry, to say she was confused, that she got scared, that things with him weren't real. Said I was the only person who ever truly loved her. I didn't say much. Just looked at her the way I used to look at fire, something beautiful but dangerous if you got too close. Later that night, I opened Reddit, just for laughs. I read stories that sounded like mine, and imagined what people would say if I posted mine. And I could hear the comments already. "She doesn't miss you. She misses control. She thought you'd stay on the hook. You didn't. Now she's spiraling. Classic narcissistic behavior. Move on, king." It was the first time in a long time that I didn't feel like the crazy one. I thought that was the end. But a few weeks later, I got a message that truly shattered me. Not from her, but from him. The message came unexpectedly. A simple text from a number I didn't recognize. It was him, the other man, He told me she'd lied to him just like she lied to me. Told him she was single but emotionally unavailable, that she wasn't ready for anything serious. He said he believed her until he found out the truth, that she was still with me when they met, still playing both sides. He dumped her as soon as he realized the betrayal. Said he didn't want to be part of a toxic cycle. I read his words, feeling a strange mix of relief and sorrow. In the end, she was alone. Me? I was finally starting to breathe again. Therapy helped me unpack the pain, the anger, the betrayal, piece by piece. I got promoted at work, something I never thought I'd achieve while weighed down by that relationship. I joined a local running club to clear my head. That's where I met her. Someone kind, curious, genuine. We don't rush. No promises, just presence. Just two people learning to trust again. This story isn't about revenge or bitterness. It's about waking up and realizing what love is supposed to feel like. Not like begging, not like losing yourself. Loyalty isn't boring. It's brave. It's rare. And silence. Sometimes silence is the loudest statement you can make. I don't hate her, but I finally love myself enough to know love without respect isn't love at all.